It didn't begin with a fight or some explosive revelation. It began with a photograph. Not a dramatic confrontation. Not a tear-streaked confession. Just one quiet moment captured in pixels that changed everything. My name is Nathan and I'm 33. I thought I knew what betrayal looked like. I thought I'd recognize it if it crept into my life. But I was wrong. Because when you love someone, truly love them, you become blind to the obvious. You make excuses. You defend them even against your own intuition. I had been married to Lena for 7 years. We had our share of rough patches, sure, but we'd always found our way back to each other. So when she started coming home later than usual, claiming back-to-back client meetings and urgent office deadlines, I didn't argue. When she began dressing up more, putting on lipstick just to grab a quick coffee, I told myself she was just taking better care of herself. I wanted to believe it. But then came the photo. And I couldn't unsee it. It was a casual image, snapped during her company's summer retreat. My coworker Derek, who had no idea what he was about to unleash, leaned over during lunch and said, "Hey, isn't this your wife?" He scrolled through his feed and turned the screen toward me. There she was, smiling, laughing, leaning far too comfortably against a man I'd never met. Marcus, her coworker. His hand sat low on her waist, fingers curled slightly like they'd done this before, like they belonged there. Her body leaned in like it agreed. I didn't say a word. I just nodded, kept eating and excused myself a few minutes later. But inside something split open. That night Lena came home late again. Lipstick bright red. The same kind she always wore when she had client dinners. She kissed me on the cheek without making eye contact, said something about traffic, then vanished into the bedroom. I sat alone at the dining table, staring at the cold meal I'd prepared. She hadn't even texted to say she'd be late. I didn't sleep much that night. Over the next few weeks I paid attention. Really paid attention. The sudden distance between us. The forced laughs. The scent of cologne that wasn't mine. The messages she typed and quickly deleted when I walked into the room. Her work trips had become more frequent. Too frequent. Then I saw it. $212 charge to a boutique hotel 2 hours away. On the same day she claimed she was in back-to-back meetings in the city. And it wasn't the only one. When I confronted her about it, she barely flinched. "You're imagining things," she said with a sigh, like I was the inconvenience. "Marcus is just a friend." There was no guilt, no fear, just annoyance. That's when I knew. The woman I had built a life with was gone, or maybe she'd never been the person I thought she was. Could have left then, packed a bag, filed for divorce, walked away with dignity. But something in me changed. It wasn't about heartbreak anymore. It was about the disrespect, the deception, the smugness. I didn't want just closure. I wanted truth, loud, public truth. And I wanted her to feel the weight of what she'd done, just as I had. So when I found out her company was hosting its annual formal gala, I saw the perfect opportunity. A high-profile event, filled with executives, clients, and partners. Spouses were invited, even encouraged. Lena, of course, didn't mention it. She'd conveniently forgotten. That was her first mistake. Her second was thinking I'd stay quiet. On the night of the gala, I showed up unannounced. I wore the tailored navy suit she'd picked out for me 2 years ago, back when she still seemed to care about how I looked. It still fit perfectly. The ballroom glittered under 1,000 crystal lights. Waiters floated by with trays of champagne. Everyone wore smiles like masks. I spotted her almost instantly. Lena, in a floor-length crimson dress, laughing at something Marcus had just whispered into her ear. His hand again resting at her lower back. Familiar, possessive. I walked up calmly, every step rehearsed. When she saw me, the blood drained from her face. "Well, hey there, beautiful," I said, wrapping an arm around her waist. "Thought I'd surprise you tonight." Marcus's grin slipped. Lena stammered. "Nathan, I didn't think you would come." I finished for her, smiling. I turned to Marcus, extended a hand. "You must be Marcus." Lena talks about you all the time. He shook my hand stiffly, his palm clammy. Nice to finally meet you, he said, though the words tasted like fear. Funny, I said, still holding his gaze. She never mentioned how close you two had gotten. Office buddies, huh? Lena tugged at my sleeve. Nathan, can we talk? In private. Of course, I said. But first, I raised my voice. Excuse me, everyone, sorry to interrupt, I called, turning to the crowd. Conversations halted. All eyes turned. I just want to raise a quick toast. Lena's hand gripped my arm, her nails digging in. I'm incredibly proud of my wife, I continued. She's had a huge year. All those long nights, the hard work, the travel, and apparently some very productive partnerships. Gasps fluttered through the crowd. Her boss, a sharp-eyed woman named Veronica, frowned deeply, sensing something was off. Then I pulled out my phone and, with one tap, cast the screen behind the stage. A photo appeared, Lena and Marcus, arms wrapped around each other, mid-kiss in the parking lot of that same boutique hotel. The room went still. The murmurs. Chairs creaking as people turned. Marcus turned red. Lena stumbled back like she'd been struck. Her mouth opened but nothing came out. Transparency matters, I said, voice clear. Especially in a company that values ethics and integrity. Veronica stepped forward. Lena. Marcus. My office. Now. The two of them practically sprinted out, red-faced and whispering apologies. I stayed behind, took another sip of champagne and exhaled. I hadn't felt in control in months. Until that moment. The aftermath. Brutal. Marcus was terminated within a week for violating the company's relationship policies. Lena was reassigned, demoted, and her bonus rescinded. The same colleagues she once charmed now avoided her like the plague. She came home days later sobbing. You didn't have to humiliate me like that, she wept. And you didn't have to cheat on your husband, I replied, voice flat. I filed for divorce that Friday. He tried to fight, claimed emotional duress, tried to keep the house, the savings, even our golden retriever, Max. But I came prepared, with a lawyer whose reputation for taking scalps in court was legendary. In the end, Lena walked away with her clothes and a broken reputation. It's been just over a year now. I've moved to a new city, started fresh, took a new job I actually enjoy. And yes, I kept Max. He's snoring beside me right now. Lena emailed me once. A long apology about regrets and mistakes and wanting to talk. I archived it without opening. Some things are better left buried. And as for Marcus, last I heard he moved back in with his parents in Ohio. Career ruined. Publicly disgraced. Call it petty. Call it revenge. Call it justice. Because sometimes silence isn't strength. Sometimes the only way to heal is to make damn sure they never forget what they lost.